People say your defense is relatively complicated and takes time to learn. Is that an accurate charge in your mind? And also, have you gotten better at installing it multiple times over the years at teaching it and simplifying it?
Yeah, both. I think it's a great question. I think in today's game of football, it needs to be somewhat complicated because you need to have answers for everything, particularly at this level. Offenses don't run the same things in college, which is more in the NFL they do. So you better have all different kinds of answers. But the key point you made is in the teaching and installing, of it. And I've gotten better at that, and I have to, particularly coming into a situation like this. Our charge is to be great now. So if it's too complicated or I can't get it installed in a way that the players pick it up quickly, then that's my fault. So I think I've developed a process that helps move it along at a more rapid pace.
Over here on the right, Tyler.
How are you today?
Hey, Tom.
I wanted to ask about two linebackers that you've gotten a chance to see for a few practices now. Tony, who wasn't obviously available in the spring, and then Amare, who we saw you put out was your defender of the day for practice one. What did he do to kind of earn that in your mind, and how would you evaluate what you've seen from Tony this year?
Yeah, I didn't get to see Tony in the spring, right, because he was out. Certainly got to watch a lot of film on him and saw his talent, but just in a couple days, very impressed, very impressed. He seems to have developed physically in the off season, and not only that, but he's picked things up quickly, which is tough to do when you don't get the reps on the field. So in the first 2 days, I've seen his knowledge of the defense has been impressive, and he's able to perform, within the scheme and utilize his talents, in a way that he kind of jumped out in the first 2 days. Amare, again, same thing. Just really watching film on him because he transferred here. But in 2 days, I see a lot of natural linebacker skills, and you don't see that as much in this day and age of college football, because a lot of linebackers are converted from other positions, and there's a skill to playing linebacker that a lot of it is innate and instinctual, and we're at LBU, so had a lot of great ones here, and you can just see those guys, when you look at the past and how they made plays, was a lot of it's through natural instinct, through things that you can't teach. So with Amare in the first 2 days, I see a lot of that natural instinct.
In the front right here, Greg.
Coach, you mentioned Tony not being a guy you got to see this spring, but he wasn't the only one that's seen as a potential starter or contributor who wasn't available. So do you feel like you're where you want to be in terms of your install with your best guys, top too deep, so to speak? Do you feel like you're a little bit behind, or do you feel like you're in a spot where you're okay with everything?
I think we're in a good spot, and the first 2 days, have shown that they responded to the installation without getting the reps. Tony's an example. Deny, Zane, AJ wasn't out there all the time, so it was definitely a concern, because not having seen them do it on the field, it was a concern. So far so good, So the pace of the installation will really depend on how well those guys perform it on the field. So as long as they keep doing well, it's just an early sample size, but we get to press forward at a rapid pace.
On the right, Johnny.
Good afternoon, Jim. As you guys sift through the 2 deep and even 3 deep at defensive tackle, how much of a help and how much of a benefit is it to have someone like Zane, already well established?
It's huge. When you can have your defensive tackles, I always say, when your defensive tackles make tackles, right, instead of using up blocks, but when they're actually productive, it changes the whole way that you plan defense. And Zane's that guy. I mean, he's that guy who can do that immediately, who has done it. And now we, like you said, we have to build the depth around, and there are a lot of candidates. The other guy I didn't get to see in the spring was Ford. Really impressed with him in the first 2 days. Really impressed. And the coaches said good things about him, but it's the same deal. I did not get to see him actually do it, and he's really jumped out at me first couple days.
We got time for one more. Rich in the front.
Hi, Jim. You have coached some very, very good defensive backs, and I was just wondering, what have you seen from AJ and Elliott just in these 2 practices, and what do you expect from them during the season?
Yeah, don't forget about AC too.
And AC.
Yeah. And the new guy who should have been a senior in high school, Darius, impressive. If I had to use one word, it would be impressive. Terry Smith has built an awesome culture in that room. Those guys are playmakers. So I'm going to set things up for them to make plays. I saw it in the spring. I'm seeing it already in 2 days. They are a real strength of our defense.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Jim.